Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Sarah Lipkowitz and I am a real estate agent specializing in residential and equestrian properties. I'm based in Bethesda, Maryland. So today I want to talk about selling horse farms as promised. I find that farm sellers tend to be pretty stressed out about selling their property, and there are a number of things they come up against, and it's completely understandable. It can be a lengthier project. It really just depends on the area and the property. And you're dealing with moving yourself, your family, your horses, your dogs, whatever other animals you've got, and you might not know where you're headed. So these are the things that I think are really important to keep in mind when you're getting ready to sell a farm. Like I said, a lot of farm sellers don't necessarily know where they're headed, and that's because, like a lot of residential sellers, they need the proceeds of the sale to be able to purchase their new property. And the two questions I come up against a lot are, what if I find the property of my dreams and I can't sell my farm? And what if my farm sells a lot faster than I anticipated and I don't have anywhere to go? So, most farm sellers' answer to that is, well, I have to find the farm that I'm moving to or the house that I'm moving to before I sell my farm because I need to know where my horses are going. And I completely understand this concern. However, generally, I advise my clients to get their farm ready for sale, and the day we list it is the day we start looking at farms. The reason for that is that most farm sellers can't afford to keep two farms. And then, if you are trying to put in an offer on a property, a seller is probably not going to be terribly enthused about an offer that includes a contingency for the sale of a farm, let alone a farm that's not even on the market yet. So it's going to be really hard for you to even get an offer accepted if you haven't listed your place. Now, I think if your farm sells faster than anticipated, this is a major point of anxiety for a lot of farm sellers, but I don't think it really has to be because, if your farm sells faster than you anticipated, you have a couple of options. Number one, a lot of farm buyers would be willing to negotiate a lease back with you. I find that an overwhelming number of buyers will be willing to either let you and or your animals stay on the property for a specified number of months. Now, I do say to my sellers, you should keep in the periphery a list of boarding barns and an eye on the rental market just in case. Now, I think the best situation is that you sell your farm, you get your farm under contract, and that week you put in an offer on another farm, but something could fall through. So, there's a lot of moving pieces when you're buying and selling real estate at the same time, and it's no different for a residential property. The residential buyers and sellers go through the same thing. It's just that farm buyers have this extra layer of anxiety because they have their animals to worry about. Knowing your property is really important when you're getting ready to sell your farm. Knowing what zoning laws are in place, any zoning changes that might be coming up, knowing if you have development rights on that property, if your neighbors have development rights on their properties. Easements in particular are a big issue in Maryland for a lot of farm owners because it prevents them from potentially keeping certain types of animals on a particular amount of the acreage or the farm in general. So it's really important that you know your property and know what rights you have and any upcoming changes with the county. I mentioned in my video about being an equestrian agent that a lot of listing agents and a lot of sellers either forget to disclose or are genuinely unaware that there are easements on the land or that there are any zoning changes coming up. So it's really important that you stay abreast of that and that you are working with an agent who you trust to keep tabs of all that. If you've ever sold a home or a farm before, you know that presentation is really important. Now, I don't recommend that sellers go hog wild with renovations. I don't. It's a really bad idea to go crazy doing major renovations right before you sell because you're not going to recoup that cost. I wish I could tell you that price is based on the itemized list of things you put into the property, but it's not. It's based on what the market supports. So you're going to be lucky if you break even. So I tend to recommend, minor cosmetics, minor renovations. You can do some research, figure out what renovations might actually pay off the most. Get that to-do list done. Make any repairs that need to get done. Make sure those are probably the most important, because those will come up on an inspection report. And a lot of buyers really love to renegotiate the contract after the inspection, so you could really be on the hook for a lot of money at that point. So any repairs, minor cosmetics, don't plan to do a major renovation unless you are going to stay on the property for a few more years and enjoy it yourself, because otherwise it's not worth it. It's not worth putting 50, 100 grand into a new kitchen just to turn around and sell it. You're going to lose that money. So, I tend to recommend that all that work that needs to get done, things that have to get done, and then, cleaning up the house and making it presentable. Paint is usually really the easiest way to do that. Declutter, but don't go too crazy. Good quality photos are really critical to getting your farm sold. And the reason for that is 84% of buyers, or something in that realm, look online before they go and look at a property. And it's a pet peeve of mine, and it's a pet peeve of my buyers when they're looking for a farm and the photos are not high res, they're not quality, or they don't include, pictures of the barns and the pastures, which is really obnoxious because, when you're looking at farms, that's, hundreds of miles potentially you're putting on your car to go look at properties. So my buyers are usually a little irritated when they can't see pictures of the barns and the pastures. And conversely, it's also a really bad idea to overdo the photos. So you want good quality, high-res photos that are honest about the condition of the property. I've seen some properties where the buyers get in there and the pictures make it look a lot nicer and in a lot better condition than it actually is. And that really works against you. You're going to get some low offers if you do that. So the last thing I want to talk about is hiring an agent. You knew it was coming. I'm an agent. It's going to happen. But this is really pretty important. I've seen a lot of farm sellers try to sell their properties for sale by owner, and it's not impossible, but on average, you'll make about 11% more off the sale if you use an agent. You really want somebody in your corner who represents your interests, who understands all the documents. You also don't want to get in trouble down the line because you didn't disclose something. So it's really pretty helpful for you to have an agent, and you've got a pretty small buyer pool as it is when you're trying to sell a horse farm, and agents have access to tools and marketing that can get your property in front of as many people as possible. So when you're trying to sell a horse farm, it's usually in your best interest to hire an agent.